I think when I look back on the things that I was honored to be able to do in my time here in the House of Representatives, honoring Representative Pete Nielsen will be one of those highlights. Pete left this earth early in the morning of July 22nd, 2019. He left behind his loving wife, Connie, who he absolutely worshiped. When I think about Pete and my interactions with him and the time that we spent together, and even my grandson, Winston, who was able to spend time with Pete, Winston would often comment, he really loves his wife. He holds the door for her when she gets in the car. And Pete did really love his wife. That may be one of his greatest qualities. Pete was always so happy to be alive. He was always so happy to be here and to serve. When I watched Pete interact with children and young adults, his enthusiasm for life, his enthusiasm and his love of our country and his love of our state and our nation was so evident in everything he did and everything he said. I remember the first time I met Pete, it was in the parking lot of the grocery store. I'd listened and kind of followed some of the issues that he seemed passionate about, and I had a question for him, and even though it was a Saturday afternoon, I promised him I would just be brief. And he took the time to stand there in the parking lot with me and discuss my issue and answer my questions. And when we left, he said, and everything's just chipper. Every time I saw Pete Nielsen and I asked him how he was doing, he was always just chipper. Pete loved to sing, he loved to teach children, and he loved to represent his district. He loved God and the United States of America and her freedoms and her history, and he loved to share it. He loved his family, and he would do anything in the world for them, anything to take care of them. He had 8 children, and I believe 27 grandchildren. Part of them are here with us today, and we'd like to welcome them. Not only was Pete's love of his country so evident, another thing was very, very evident about Pete, and that was his love of our founding document, the Constitution. I didn't ever see Pete Nielsen when he didn't have a pocket Constitution in his pocket. And I wasn't exactly quite sure why he always carried that Constitution, because he could quote it. Whatever the subject was, Pete could tell you word by word, line by line from the Constitution, but he always had it with him. And in honor of that today, Pete's family has provided for every member of the Idaho legislature a copy of that sacred document for them to carry. This is from Pete's family to each one of us. And I know that if Pete were here today, there would be 2 things that he would say. Number 1, read that Constitution. Read it, understand it, and know it. And the other thing that he would say is, I'm just chipper. Thank you.